Representative Ken Clark here, District 24, giving a reaction to the governor's State of the State address. I'm here with a lot of my fellow members, and we're all going to talk about a little something. First of all, if you watch the speech, it was mind-boggling that he started the speech basically offending half the people in the room who have true concerns about how tax cuts over the last 20 years have undermined education in this state. And then he talks about how companies are fleeing to California, which we know is empirically untrue. And he talks about supporting locally owned businesses, while at the same time, last year they gave $35 million in cuts to insurance companies, none of which are from this state. Finally, it was nice to see Governor Ducey refund some of the staff members from Department of Water Resources that he took away last year. So,
and we have that in our plan.
And that was in our plan. That was in our plan this morning.
And where can we see our plan online?
azhousedemocrats.org.
Perfect. So go visit azhousedemocrats.com.
.com. All right. Okay.
Hi, Eric Meyer, representing Legislative District 28. I'm going to talk a little bit about what the governor said about education compared to us. We'd like to reinvest in our schools, provide teacher mentoring and ongoing support for our teachers, and restore some of the cuts that were made last year. The governor did talk about restoring joint career and technical education funding.
He didn't put a dollar amount on it.
He didn't put a dollar amount, which he cut last year.
Right.
So the hope is that when that is done this coming year, it'll restore those dramatic cuts to our schools.
What was your proposal for the career and technical education?
Well, our proposal is to fully restore the cuts that were made and that the governor signed into law in last year's budget.
And what would that do for those programs?
Well, it would allow kids to continue to take courses in things that get them jobs: nursing, biosciences, and technology.
So good jobs.
Good jobs right here in
jobs.
Arizona. High-paying, high-wage jobs.
Great. What else?
Well,
Mr.
university
Mendez?
funding. Just let. Are you doing university?
No,
I'm
go
doing
for it.
university. So on the university funding front, he said a lot of great things about our universities, but he did not talk at all about restoring the cuts that have increased tuition for our kids year over year and made college tuition unaffordable for many middle-class Arizonans. Our plan, on the other hand, restores some of those cuts and creates a fund that allows low-income kids to go to our schools.
Here's a question. Do you think that that moon lander would have made it to the moon had his cuts been in place 10 years ago when they were first building that thing? I was watching.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think so either.
All right.
Speculative.
Yes.
Juan Mendez, State Legislative District 26. My comments on Governor Ducey's responses. I could get excited about maybe someday taking an Uber from the airport, but at the same time, that may not have been the threat and the threatening tone he took with the cities in order to get them to do what he wanted. May not have been the way I would have chosen to deal with the cities. So I'm going to be reaching out to all of my cities to make sure that they're going to be able to go forward and not have to worry about their shared revenue.
And one of the other interesting things is that be louder. One of the other interesting things is that he didn't really talk about any economic development plans. In our plan that we proposed this morning, we talked about restoring funding to the angel investment tax credit program and to the research and development program that we know create high-wage, high-paying jobs right here in Arizona. We also talked about restoring HERF funding so that we can build infrastructure in our state. And most importantly, we talked about investing some of the one-time monies into restoring or accelerating the construction of Highway 189 that brings commerce from Mexico, our largest trading partner, into Arizona and creates jobs here.
Thank you for that, Dr. Meyer, because I mean, another couple of fares at the airport isn't really going to get our economy moving.
No, exactly. We have Representative McCune-Davis.
And Representative Rios?
Yeah, Debbie McCune-Davis from District 30, West Phoenix, and I spent a lot of time working on DCS. And I was pleased to hear the governor say that having 18,000 kids in foster care keeps him up at night. What I didn't hear are the ways to solve the problem, and I'm very, very concerned because unless you really understand the problem and understand that the families need support and access to services, which he didn't talk about in the budget, or well, we'll see in the budget, but he didn't talk about in this speech, you can't get there. Those kids have been traumatized, they need services, they're not getting them now. Last conversation I had with a foster mom, she said she wouldn't recommend foster parenting because those families aren't getting the services they need.
Debbie, could you say something about the Chapin Hall report and
Well, the
what that
Chapin
means?
Hall report was a thorough examination of the agency and identified exactly what the agency has to do. And that's not happening, and that's of great concern. It specifically said that we needed to have a formula that is based on evidence to help us deal with the kids who are coming into the system, to make sure that those cases are dealt with promptly and appropriately. We need action now.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Rios, State Representative from District 27. I found it quite interesting that Governor Ducey seems to have a newfound interest in protecting children, domestic violence victims, homelessness. But at the end of the day, it was overarching themes. There was no detail, and if you don't put your money where your mouth is, it really doesn't mean anything. He talked about wanting to repeal laws as opposed to making laws. I would suggest that if he's truly concerned about Arizona's children, that he repeal the 12-month TANF law that was passed last year and begin to protect Arizona's kids.
Did you notice that his idea about working on the rape kit backlog was something that has come up previously?
You know, it's a good point. That was Senator Hobbs' bill last year that went nowhere. But now all of a sudden it's Ducey's idea. So again, all these good ideas, they do come from Democrats. I'm glad that he picked up and ran with her idea.
So it does sound like there's some places for us to start talking.
Absolutely.
Right?
Lots of room.
Cool.
And there's one thing to leave you with. We can absolutely have these conversations with the leadership, but we need the public to back us up. We need them there so that we can go into the room and say, look at all the people who want these things. We need you to call the Republican legislators personally. Emails, we get 1,000 emails a day. Give them a call. Come down here. It's worth the time. And any other comments before we close
Call
out?
the governor.
Call the governor.
Yeah, deadbeat dads need jobs.
All right, thank you everybody. Stay tuned throughout the whole session for more live periscoping.